The big thing we haven't talked about in terms of the nuclear balance is China.
Yeah.
The Chinese, of course, have only stepped up dramatically their spend on their strategic nuclear weapons program. And how do you think about a changing strategic balance where it's not the United States and the Soviets with, after 62 with some arms control conversations and the rest? It's actually now a new player. It's China with none of that framework and architecture and frankly, barely useful conversations happening at the high level right now. What does that say to you as a strategic and military planner?
I am much more worried about that than anything else we have talked about. China is going from a pretty modest inventory of around 300 to stated goal of 1,500 deployable nuclear warheads. That's the same as the U.S. and Russia under the START treaty, 1,500 deployable warheads. They're talking about getting to that point in the next 5 years. That is going to be difficult, but I think attainable. So your point, there is a whole new structure here that we have never encountered. We've never had a three-handed triangle of major nuclear powers. So what do we need to do? I think we need to recognize China is going to build a 1,500 minimum capability in terms of warheads. They're going to have them.
So it will be within 5 years, it will be a third nuclear superpower with global reach.
In my view. And I think the question is, what do we do about it? Number one is, and we've touched on it, but it's reopen arms limitation talks. And, to get to that, we have to get through Ukraine and get to a ceasefire there. I think that's attainable. Once we do that, we ought to go to Russia, we ought to go to China, and we ought to try and lead those. And if you call them new START or resalt or however you want to categorize it, arms control talks are going to be pretty critical. Number two thing we need to do is up our game in terms of intelligence, AI, cyber, all the kind of ancillary things that go toward making a nuclear force capable. Third and finally would be smart to try and continue to have strong alliances to balance China and Russia drawing closer and closer together.